What pen is that is the number one question I get asked on social media. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 13 pens in the Doodle Basics Kit from Marker Supply Company. Hi, I'm Roxanne, Super Doodle Girl, and I help people get unstuck using simple, creative tools and techniques. I use a minimal amount of tools to create a maximalist style of art journaling. So let's unpack this Doodle Basics Kit and see what's inside. My friends at Marker Supply Company put together a collection for those of you new to doodling like I do, so you can easily get started. I do use some of them in an unconventional way, so let's unpack this together and I'll explain how to mix and match these in your next journal page. First, there are 3 Tombow markers and 3 Sparkle Pop pens. Then there's a Micron 05 and an 01 and an Identa pen in black. Next is a Uniball white gel pen. And then this is the Tombow Furunosuke. It is my favorite small brush tip marker. This one is the soft tip and it has a dark charcoal gray on one side and a light gray on the other. It is absolutely fantastic for lettering and for making shadows. And finally, my all-time favorite pen, the Sakura black glaze pens. And yes, friends, you do get 2 of these in the kit. So they kind of run out fast, but I love them that they have a little 3-dimensional ink on them. So now let's learn what you can do with all of these pens. This year I am on a mission to document all of the pens that I have in my studio. So I put together, I'm calling it a studio journal. And I've already prepared the page for the Doodle Basics Kit where I can document all of these pens and markers. But I wanted to show you some other pages so you get the idea of what we're doing. So this page has all the colors of the glaze pens by Sakura. I wrote the name and the number and a little color swatch so I could see what they look like. But then I remembered some pens look different on light and dark colors. So on the Sparkle Pop, I added a little swatch of Sumi ink. And then I had another thought. It would be cool to put watercolor so I could see what the pens look like on top of watercolor, since I do a lot of that in my journals. Well, I'm combining all of those into the Doodle Basics Kit pen test. So I'm going to write the name of the pen and then I'll swatch it. And then I added a second place where I'm going to swatch it and then add water over it to test for waterproofness. I've got a section for watercolor and then one for variations of the Sumi ink. And part of what you're going to do here is you're going to write the name of the pen with the pen, because that gives you a little experience. So if you have pens that are new to you, this is a very important part of the learning process. So one thing you'll know if it's your first time with the Pigma Microns, you kind of have to hold them more upright. Just that's the way I do and with my hand, just because of the type of the nib they have. And you can see this is a very fine line. If you're doing your fine liners, or if you can tell what size the pen is, I also like to make a note of that. And then I just put little squiggles in each of these columns, because I'll be adding water over the second one, and then I just want to see what they're going to do. So we'll continue with that second Pigma Micron. This one's the 05. Now the reason I selected the 05 and the 1 is there's an 02, an 03, and an 04 in between these 2 markers. And I think for me and the style of journaling that I do, I like the contrast. So this would be a medium line with a very thin line. So make sure you add your 05 on there. And in this one, I'm going to write the word joy just to see kind of what it looks like when I make letters with it. Because the other thing with swatching, you want to see kind of when 2 lines cross, how thick is that intersection. So that's why I'm doing a little bit of lettering. Oh my gosh, now let's do the Identa pen. This one's by Sakura as well. So Pigma Micron and Identa pen. This one is fantastic. It's like 2-in-1. So this first test, this is the 1.0 millimeter end of the Identa pen. And look, this is why I selected this. So you can see immediately when I start writing with this one, you have a small, a medium, and a bold line. So that's one of the things that you're going to be looking for as you doodle if you're looking for contrast in your work. Now the IdentiPen is a 2-in-1. I'd love to travel with this one. The smaller tip is a 0.4. So literally, if I'm putting together my travel kit and I wanted to take 2 pens, I could grab the IdentiPen and then that Micron 01, and it's like I've got 3 pens with me. So that's why the IdentiPen is in the Doodle Basics Kit, because it's great to know that there are some markers that have 2 tips, exactly like this next one. This is the Fudenosuke, and it is the, like I mentioned before, it's the soft tip, and it's a brush marker. So you're going to get thick and thin. So thick on your downstrokes with heavy pressure, and then you can lighten it up. But look at the difference in the colors. So the one I'm using now, that light gray, makes great shadows, and it makes really cool lettering. Now here's my favorite. This one is the Sakura Glaze pen. This one is not for fine detailed work. Okay, this ink comes out super juicy and it dries with a little 3D finish. It's high gloss, so it sits on top of the paper. I love it. I think it works really well with the type of watercolor doodles that I enjoy making. I am using this to write joy because I suggest you do that because you're going to see how those lines come together, and it is a very thick intersection there. And next up, this is our white gel pen, so I'll make a note of that. I'll use a pencil later. This one, I wanted you to see what it looks like. It looks really nice on top of the watercolor and also on top of the black. Now next, we're going to do the 3 Sparkle Pop pens. And the way I think of glitter gel pens like this, I think of these as embellishments. These are what I would use in the 3rd layer of my style of art journaling. These are, it's a very bold line. They're by Pentel. The Sakura Jelly Rolls also make some really nice sparkly pens, but I really like these 3. I can color in sections really nicely, so I don't like a really fine glitter line. So I like a little one that's more bold. Now, one of the distinctive characteristics of the Sparkle Pops, they're also known as dual metallic hybrids. And you'll see a little bit of this. They have 2 colors of glitter in them, and so they do a little bit of color shifting. So I really love having these 3 to add onto the pages. Now, because they've got those 2 colors of glitter in them, so the green, the ink is green, some of the glitter is, but it also has a little blue in it, so it really will shift. Think of like, I guess the colors of a peacock. So sometimes I'll use this and it looks very green, and other times it has way more blue, depending on the color, the background that you add it onto. And then our last color is the purple. And this one has the blue and the purple in it. So sometimes it's purple and sometimes it's blue. So even though the pens that you got, you have green and purple, the reason I selected these is that it will color shift, and so it almost looks like it's a blue. Same thing with the orange, is that it will color shift, and sometimes it looks very orange and other times it looks quite gold. So these 3 pens actually can look like 5 different colors. So that's the magic of the pens that I selected to put into this kit. I wanted the fewest pens and markers I could get that I could use to get the most color out. And now let's move to the 3 Tombow markers. So these were very popular in the brush lettering days. So I chose these 3 particular colors because they're a modern primary. So I'm going to swatch the markers first in each of the colors, and then we'll mix them together. So I'll show you how to get 6 colors out of these 3. The other thing to notice is I'm writing the name of the marker with the bullet tip. So these are dual tipped markers. One end's a bullet tip, and the other end that you see me using here is the brush tip. So you can get very thick lines and very thin lines out of these. So we have the magenta is the 755, the yellow's the 055, and then the 493. So see, I'm doing and notice how I put just a little swatch where I'm going to add the water. I want you to see what happens when I grab my brush. I'm going to bring a little bit of water into that rectangle. And notice the color from the marker, you add the water. It's not waterproof, so it will spread on the page. Now, cautionary tale. This is a Fabriano student grade paper that I'm using here. We have found that this does not work on all types of paper, so you'll want to test that on the paper that you're using. And now while I've got my brush, I'm going to do my test for waterproofness on all of the others. All of the black pens are waterproof, and notice when I'm placing this on top of the Sparkle Pops, there is movement. So the Uniball Glaze, the white, and the Sparkle Pops are not waterproof. So those are always my last thing that I put on the page. All right, so now I'm taking the bullet tip and I wrote green right there in the little spot. I mean green, I wrote orange. And then I'm going over it with the pink. And so what you see, it turns, you start to see it turn. So it's turning into an orange color. So let's look at this where I do marker over marker and it turns into a lighter orange color. And then if I blend the two together, we're going to get a light orange. And so you see how you start to blend the colors. I have a whole, another video that shows me how to really goes in depth and how to blend the Tombow markers. So I'll link to that in the description. So now I'm doing the green. So here's the yellow, and then we're going to mix it with the blue. So I'm taking the blue on top, and you get this really nice, like bright lime green. There you see it immediately turn when I go marker over marker. Now let's use the water to blend these two together. And yes, indeed, you can see it turning into the green. All right, now last one is going to be purple. So we're going to, and notice I'm doing the lighter color first. You probably can do it the other way. This is just how I've always done it. So I put the magenta and then I grab my blue and then I'm going to go over it. And so just like the others, you're going to see marker over marker in the first one. And then you'll see marker blended together. Now, these aren't the only markers that will do this. You can use Crayola markers. You can use this with any marker that is, alcohol markers blend in a different way. So these, we're using the water to blend them. So what you're looking for is not waterproof. Now, another way you can blend these markers, I've got the yellow and I'm taking the blue and I put little tips of blue on the end of the yellow. So it's literally on the yellow marker. And now I can create green just as I mark on the page. The first time I did this, I was terrified, but you just take the lighter marker and put the darker color on the tip, and then it will kind of turn into this ombre effect, and it's kind of like a self-cleaning thing. So if you just write enough with it, all of the green will come out, and then you could mix the pink into it if you want. So yeah, so let's do another one of those. So remember to do this, we start with the lighter color. So for the next one, we're doing the purple. So I'm starting with the magenta and I'm taking the blue, which is darker, and I tipped it on the end. I just put 3 or 4 little tips. And so then we've got this purple color. So it's definitely not the bright magenta, so it's got some blue in it, and you can see the further I go across the page, the blue kind of wears out. So now let's see, let's do the orange. So for this, we start with the lighter color. So I've got the orange and I'm putting the magenta on the tip. So you just do it a few times. Yeah, this is a really cool effect. We would do this when I was learning to brush letter. And so you see immediately the orange is coming out. Now this is the same marker that I used the blue with it to make the green. So you see, just you keep marking on the page until whatever that secondary color is, that it is finished. All right, so you can see here all of these colors on the page so far have been made by everything in the Doodle Basics Kit. Now I'm going to take all of what I've shown you and I'm going to color in this banner at the top. So this is an example how I'm putting on the markers. So you can see this front part's going to be a kind of orange, and then I'll want the back to be a little bit green. So I just add a little bit of the marker, and then I will bring the water into it to blend it together, and then add, you know, some other things with the pens that I have here in the Doodle Basics Kit. So I'm going to put some music on and let you enjoy watching the colors blend together. So then I'm bringing the glaze pen to add a little details to it and finish this up. So I hope this helped you think of a way or see an example of how you can take those pens and markers that are in the Doodle Basics Kit, test them out so that you learn all the things that you can make with them, and then hop on into your art journal. I will link to another video of how to blend those Tombow markers and guide you through a page of neurographic doodles. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel.